he tweeted out that an American who was participating in the Olympics was a loser. And that was after his vice president, J.D. Vance, was booed in Milan at the opening ceremonies, which tells me that while Donald Trump is I just got an email from the press, from his press office today, saying, and it's horrible to even think of, but don't panic. What is what Trump's political is? I'm going to read it here. Let's go back to it. Yeah, don't be a panickin'. We're winning. That's what they sent out not more than an hour ago. But to the rest of the world, I think those two instances make us look even more foolish. Not to mention, as we get into the Epstein files, the fact that the rest of the world is reacting by going after those in their government who were involved with Epstein while we are not. Mark, I'll let you start unpacking that one.
So apparently NBC, which is airing the Olympics, in fact, did not show to the American audience that Vance was booed, which is interesting. And I be curious as to who made that decision and why. I imagine it's one of the only times that a leader has been. I'm not sure a U.S. leader. I'm not sure the last time necessarily where a vice president or president, frankly, went to the Olympic Open ceremony. So I'm not sure if there is a precedent, but it is certainly reflective of a very negative attitude internationally towards the United States. I mean, usually the vice president is not controversial for the most part. It may be the president that is a target, but not necessarily a vice president. And Olympics are supposed to be devoid of politics for them. I mean, obviously there's always, the 1980, hockey game between the Soviet Union and the United States. And I mean, there are things where, sworn enemies are against one another. And there is some political aspect to it, more about discussion than maybe on the field, by folks. And right now we only have 2 medals. I mean, we're in 5th place with 2 medals. Norway's got 6. That's normal, because it's the Winter Olympics, which frankly, I don't watch. I'm a track and field guy. I'll pay attention to the Summer Olympics. I don't really watch. I didn't even know the Winter Olympics were going to happen until I looked for Saturday Night Live.
When I watch speed skating, it makes me tired just watching my thighs start to burn just watching those guys around. But I get it. But to the point, I guess, and Nolan, maybe you can address this as well. To me, it's, as Mark said, it's unprecedented. I can't remember the last time we were booed at the Olympics. Hell, I can't ever remember a time when the president of the United States tweeted out that one of our athletes was a loser. I have, at some point in time, laugh or cry. We'll be here all week, try the veal. But I think the rest of the world at this point is laughing at us and crying for us.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what I think are kind of 2 stories of this, and one is obviously the international community has lost lots of its love for the United States. I think that's unfortunately been the story of the U.S. since 2003. There was a brief kind of respite during the Obama years, but really the international community has increasingly turned against the United States. J.D. Vance symbolized that here at the Olympics. But I'm also struck kind of just how far this guy's star has fallen. He was seen like a kind of young up and comer for the Republican Party, even in the midst of what looked like, the disastrous Trump years for a lot of Republican establishment figures. And the guy has just fallen. He's lost international appeal within the party. A lot of MAGA folks don't even trust him. There's also this online community of, I call them these homoerotic Republicans who are fixated on what the perfect man looks like, and they've turned against J.D. Vance. So he's just a really interesting figure. Had all this promise a decade ago, and once he strapped himself to Trump and the MAGA movement, just has had embarrassing moment after embarrassing moment like this. And this one, I think, being particularly bad, 'cause it's on an international stage.